The black car stopped in front of Luna's restaurant with a loud screech. The driver quickly got out and opened the back door. Marcus Wellington stepped out onto the sidewalk. His expensive suit was wrinkled. His hair was messy. His face was red, with anger. Marcus had just come from the worst business meeting of his life. The deal he had worked on for 6 months was gone. The other company had chosen his biggest rival instead. Marcus owned a tech company worth billions of dollars, but today he felt like a complete failure. He looked at Luna's restaurant through the big glass windows. The place was full of people eating dinner. Soft music played inside. Warm yellow lights made everything look cozy. Marcus did not care about cozy. He wanted a drink, and he wanted it now. Marcus pushed open the heavy wooden door. A small bell rang above his head. The sounds of the restaurant hit him all at once. People were talking and laughing. Glasses clinked together. Knives and forks scraped against plates. A young woman with a bright smile walked up to him. She wore a black dress and held a small book in her hands. "Good evening, sir. Welcome to Luna's. Do you have a reservation tonight?" Marcus stared at her like she had asked him to solve a math problem. "Reservation? Do you know who I am?" The hostess kept smiling, but her eyes looked confused. "I'm sorry, sir. Could you tell me your name? I can check our list." Marcus Wellington. He said his name like it should mean something to everyone. "I need the best table in this place, right now." The hostess looked down at her book. She turned a few pages. "I'm sorry, Mr. Wellington, I don't see your name here. We're completely booked tonight. The next available table would be in about 2 hours. Marcus felt his face getting hotter. 2 hours? Are you crazy? I don't wait for anyone. I want a table now. "Sir, I understand you're upset, but we really don't have any tables right now. I can put you on our waiting list, or maybe you'd like to try our bar area." Before Marcus could answer, another woman walked over. She was older and wore a black suit. Her name tag said manager. "Is there a problem here?" she asked. Marcus turned to face her. "Yes, there's a problem. Your hostess doesn't seem to understand that I need a table immediately. Do you know how much money I spend in restaurants like this?" The manager's face changed. She had heard about Marcus Wellington. Everyone in the business world knew about him. He was rich and powerful, but he was also known for being difficult. "Mr. Wellington, I'm so sorry for the confusion. Let me see what I can do." She turned to the hostess and whispered something in her ear. The hostess nodded and walked away quickly. "Please follow me, sir. I think we can find something for you." Marcus smiled for the first time all day. This was how things should work. When you had money and power, people moved for you. They made things happen. The manager led him through the restaurant. They passed tables full of people enjoying their meals. Marcus noticed that everyone was dressed nicely. This was the kind of place where important people came to eat, the kind of place where he belonged. They stopped at a small table near the kitchen doors. It was not the best table in the restaurant, but it was empty. "This is what you have?" Marcus asked. "A table next to the kitchen?" "Sir, this is really the only option right now. Or I can speak to some customers who are almost finished with their meal." Marcus was about to complain again when he heard someone clear their throat behind him. He turned around and saw another waitress standing there. She was young, maybe in her 20s. She had dark hair pulled back in a ponytail. Her uniform was neat and clean. She held a small pad of paper and a pen. "Excuse me," she said in a calm voice. "I couldn't help but overhear. You're looking for a table, right?" The manager quickly spoke up. "Maya, this is Mr. Wellington. We're trying to find him the best possible table." Maya looked at Marcus with steady brown eyes. "Sir, I serve that section over there." She pointed to a group of tables near the windows. "I have a table that just opened up. The people left about 5 minutes ago. I can clean it and have it ready for you in just a few minutes." Marcus looked where she was pointing. The table was much better than the one near the kitchen. It had a view of the street and was away from all the noise. "That's perfect," the manager said quickly. "Maya will take excellent care of you, Mr. Wellington." Maya smiled, but it was different from the hostess's smile. It was professional, but not fake. "If you'd like to wait at the bar, I'll come get you." When your table is ready, it should only take about 5 minutes. Marcus nodded. This was better. At least someone in this place knew how to treat important customers. He walked to the bar and ordered a whiskey. The bartender poured it quickly and set it down in front of him. Marcus took a big sip and felt the alcohol burn his throat. He needed this after the day he'd had. From the bar, he could see Maya working. She moved quickly but smoothly between tables. She talked to customers with a smile. She carried heavy trays without any trouble. She seemed to know what she was doing. Marcus finished his drink and ordered another one. He was starting to feel a little better. The anger from his failed business deal was still there, but the alcohol was helping to dull it. After a few minutes, Maya appeared beside him. "Your table is ready, Mr. Wellington." She led him to the table by the windows. It was perfectly clean. The silverware was polished. A small candle flickered in the center. Fresh flowers sat in a tiny vase. "This looks good," Marcus said as he sat down. Maya handed him a menu. "Can I start you with something to drink? Or would you like to hear about our specials tonight?" Marcus looked up at her. Up close, he could see that she was pretty, but not in the obvious way that most women tried to be. She wore very little makeup. Her hair was simple, but there was something about the way she carried herself that caught his attention. "Bring me another whiskey," he said. "The expensive kind. And I'll look at this menu." "Of course, sir, I'll be right back with that drink." As Maya walked away, Marcus watched her. She moved with a kind of grace that he didn't usually notice in waitresses. Most of them seemed nervous around him once they learned who he was. But Maya seemed completely calm. Marcus opened the menu, but he wasn't really reading it. His mind was still on the business deal that had gone wrong. 6 months of work down the drain. His partners would not be happy. His competitors would laugh at him. He needed to find a way to feel powerful again. He needed to remind himself that he was still Marcus Wellington, billionaire businessman. He was still better than everyone else in this restaurant. Maya returned, with his drink. "Here you go, sir. Have you had a chance to look at the menu?" Marcus took the glass without saying thank you. "What do you recommend?" "The salmon is very popular tonight. It comes with roasted vegetables and rice, or if you prefer meat, the steak is excellent." "Fine. Bring me the steak, medium rare, and make sure the chef knows it's for me." Maya wrote down his order. "Absolutely, sir. Is there anything else I can get you right now?" Marcus looked at her again. She was still calm, still professional. It was starting to annoy him. Why wasn't she impressed that she was serving Marcus Wellington? "Actually, yes. Do you know who I am?" Maya paused for a moment. "You're Mr. Wellington, sir." "Marcus Wellington. I own Wellington Tech. Maybe you've heard of it?" "I'm not really familiar with tech companies, sir, but I'm sure it's very successful." This made Marcus even more annoyed. Everyone should know who he was. His company was in the news all the time. He was worth billions of dollars. How could she not know? "It's one of the biggest tech companies in the country," he said, his voice getting louder. "That's wonderful, sir. I'll go put your order in with the kitchen right now." Maya walked away before Marcus could say anything else. He sat there holding his drink, feeling frustrated. This waitress was treating him like he was just another customer, like he was nobody special. Marcus looked around the restaurant. Other people were having quiet conversations. They were enjoying their food and their company. They looked happy and relaxed, but Marcus did not feel happy or relaxed. He felt angry and restless. The alcohol was making his emotions stronger instead of calmer. He wanted to do something that would remind everyone in this place that he was important. He wanted to show them all, especially that waitress, exactly who Marcus Wellington really was. Marcus finished his second whiskey and waved for another one. The alcohol was making his head feel fuzzy, but it was also making him feel bolder. He watched Maya as she moved between tables, taking orders and bringing food to customers. She never seemed to hurry, but she got everything done quickly. She remembered what people ordered without writing it down. She smiled at children and helped an old man read the menu when he forgot his glasses. Everyone seemed to like her. This made Marcus even more angry. Why did everyone else get her attention and kindness? He was the most important person in this restaurant, but she treated him like he was ordinary. Maya brought his steak to the table. It looked perfect. The meat was cooked exactly how he wanted it. The vegetables were colorful and fresh. But Marcus barely looked at the food. "Is there anything else you need, Mr. Wellington?" Maya asked. "Sit down," Marcus said suddenly. Maya looked confused. "Excuse me, sir?" "I said sit down. I want to talk to you." Maya glanced around the restaurant. Other customers were watching. "Sir, I have other tables to take care of. But if you need something, I'm happy to help." "What I need is for you to show me some respect," Marcus said. His voice was getting louder. "Do you have any idea how much money I have? How powerful I am?" Maya's face stayed calm, but her eyes became more serious. "Sir, I'm treating you with the same respect I give all my customers. Now, is there something wrong with your food?" Marcus slammed his hand on the table. His glass jumped and some whiskey spilled. People at nearby tables turned to look at them. "There's something wrong with your attitude," Marcus said. "I could buy this entire restaurant right now. I could have you fired with one phone call, but you're acting like you don't care." Maya picked up a napkin and cleaned up the spilled whiskey. Her hands were steady. "Mr. Wellington, I'm just here to do my job. I bring you food, make sure you have what you need, and treat you politely. That's what good service means." "Good service means knowing who's important," Marcus shot back. "It means understanding that some customers matter more than others." Maya stopped cleaning and looked directly at him. "I believe all customers matter equally, sir." This simple statement made Marcus feel like he had been slapped. No one ever talked to him this way. Employees at his company were afraid of him. Waitresses at expensive restaurants always tried to impress him. But this woman was telling him that he was not special. The anger in Marcus's chest grew bigger. He needed to put this waitress in her place. He needed to show her and everyone else in this restaurant that Marcus Wellington was not ordinary. Just then, the lights in the restaurant dimmed slightly. A small stage area near the back lit up. 3 musicians walked onto the stage. One carried a guitar, one sat behind a drum set, and one picked up a microphone. "Good evening, everyone," the singer said into the microphone. "We're the Luna Jazz Trio, and we're here to provide some music for your dinner tonight." The guitar player started, with a slow, smooth melody. The drums came in softly. The singer began a song that Marcus recognized but couldn't name. As the music played, something interesting happened. Several couples got up from their tables and started dancing in a small area near the stage. They moved slowly and gracefully together. The restaurant had become quieter as people listened to the music and watched the dancers. Marcus watched too, but not because he enjoyed the music. An idea was forming in his mind. A terrible, selfish idea that he thought would finally give him the attention and respect he wanted. He looked at Maya, who was standing nearby, watching the dancers with a small smile on her face. For just a moment, she looked different, less like a waitress and more like someone who understood music and dancing. Marcus pulled out his wallet. It was thick with cash and credit cards. He found what he was looking for, a crisp $1,000 bill. He had won it in a poker game with other rich businessmen and had kept it as a lucky charm. He stood up from his table, holding the money high in the air. The bill was green and new, and it caught the light from the candles. "Excuse me," Marcus called out in a loud voice. "Excuse me, everyone." The restaurant slowly became quiet. The jazz trio kept playing, but people stopped talking. They turned to look at the man with the expensive suit holding money in the air. Marcus felt a rush of excitement. Finally, he had everyone's attention. Finally, he was the center of the room. "I have a challenge," Marcus announced. He pointed at Maya, who was standing a few feet away from his table. "This lovely waitress here has been taking care of me tonight." Maya's face went red. She had not expected to be put in the spotlight like this. Other waitresses and restaurant workers had stopped what they were doing to watch. "I want to see if she can dance," Marcus continued. "Right here, right now, in front of everyone." He waved the $1,000 bill in the air again. "If she dances with me to one song, this money is hers." $1,000. That's probably more than she makes in a month waiting tables. The restaurant was completely quiet now except for the music. Even the jazz trio had stopped playing and were watching to see what would happen. Maya stared at Marcus. She could not believe what he was doing. He was trying to embarrass her in front of all these people. He was treating her like entertainment, like something he could buy with his money. "Sir," Maya said quietly, "I'm working right now. I can't leave my tables to dance." "Oh, come on," Marcus said with a big smile. "It's just one song. And look, at all this money." He held the bill closer to her face. "You could probably use it, right? I'm sure waitresses don't make very much." Some people in the restaurant started to whisper. A few took out their phones. They could tell that something interesting was about to happen, and they wanted to record it. Maya felt everyone's eyes on her. She felt embarrassed and angry. This rich man was trying to make her look foolish. He thought he could use his money to make her dance like a trained animal. But Maya also felt something else. She felt a familiar feeling that she had not experienced in a long time. When she looked at the small dance floor and heard the music, something inside her woke up. "What's wrong?" Marcus asked loudly. "Are you afraid you'll embarrass yourself? Maybe you don't know how to dance?" He was enjoying this. He thought he had put Maya in an impossible situation. If she said no, she would look like she was afraid. If she said yes, he was sure she would make a fool of herself trying to dance with him. Marcus had taken dancing lessons when he was younger. His mother had insisted on it. He was not great, but he was not terrible either. He was confident that he could lead the dance and make this waitress look awkward and clumsy. Maya looked around the restaurant. She saw all the faces watching her. Some people looked curious. Some looked uncomfortable, like they knew this was wrong but didn't know what to do. She thought about her other tables. She thought about her job. She thought about how much she needed this job to pay for law school. But then she thought about something else. She thought about who she really was, underneath the waitress uniform. She thought about the person she had been before life had forced her to change direction. Maya took a deep breath. She looked Marcus directly in the eyes. "You want to see me dance?" she asked in a clear voice that everyone in the restaurant could hear. Marcus grinned. "That's right. One dance, $1,000. Unless you're too scared." Maya reached behind her back and untied her apron. She folded it neatly and set it on a nearby chair. She pulled the band out of her hair and let it fall around her shoulders. "I'm not scared," Maya said simply. She walked toward the small dance floor. Marcus followed her, still holding the money. He was sure that in a few minutes this waitress would be embarrassed and he would feel powerful again. The jazz trio looked at each other, not sure what to do. The guitar player shrugged and started playing a new song. It was a Latin number with a strong rhythm and complicated beat. Marcus reached the dance floor and held out his hand to Maya. He was still smiling, still confident that he was about to win this challenge. Maya looked at his hand for a moment. Then she looked up at his face. What she saw there was arrogance and cruelty. This man really thought he could buy her dignity for $1,000. She took his hand, but not because she needed his money. She took it because she was about to show him something he would never forget. Maya was about to show Marcus Wellington and everyone else in that restaurant exactly who she really was. Maya stood at the edge of the dance floor holding Marcus's hand. Her heart was beating fast, but not because she was nervous. She was excited. It had been 3 years since she had danced in front of people, and she had missed it more than she could ever explain. Marcus squeezed her hand and pulled her closer. He was still grinning like he had already won a prize. He could smell her perfume, something light and clean, not expensive like the perfumes that rich women wore. "Ready to earn your money?" Marcus whispered in her ear. His breath smelled like whiskey. Maya did not answer. She was listening to the music. The jazz trio was playing a song with a Latin beat. It was the kind of music that called to something deep inside her, something that had been sleeping for too long. Around them, the restaurant had become completely quiet, except for the music. People had put down their forks and knives. Conversations had stopped. Even the kitchen staff had come out to watch through the small windows in the kitchen doors. Some customers had taken out their phones and were holding them up to record. They thought they were about to see an awkward moment between a rich man and a poor waitress. They expected to see something embarrassing that they could share with friends later. Maya closed her eyes for just a second. She let the music flow into her body. She remembered what it felt like to move to rhythm, to let her body tell a story that words could not tell. When she opened her eyes, she was no longer Maya, the waitress. She was Maya, the dancer. Marcus tried to lead her into a simple box step, the kind of basic dancing that most people do at weddings. He held her waist with one hand and her hand with the other. He started to move in the predictable pattern that he had learned in his expensive dancing classes. But Maya had other ideas. She let him think he was leading for about 10 seconds. Then, smoothly and naturally, she began to change the dance. Her movements became more fluid. Her steps became more complex. She started to move her hips and shoulders in ways that matched the Latin rhythm perfectly. Marcus felt the change immediately. Suddenly, he was not leading anymore. He was trying to keep up. Maya spun away from him, her hair flying around her shoulders. She moved across the small dance floor with steps that were both powerful and graceful. Every movement was exactly on the beat. Every turn was perfectly timed. The people watching began to sit up straighter in their chairs. This was not what they had expected to see. Maya spun back to Marcus and took his hand again. She guided him into moves that he had never learned. Somehow, she made him look better than he actually was. When he stumbled slightly, she covered for him so smoothly that most people did not notice. But everyone noticed her. Maya's body moved like it was made of music. She did not just dance to the beat. She became the beat. Her feet seemed to barely touch the floor. Her arms and hands moved like they were painting pictures in the air. Marcus was starting to sweat. He was trying to keep up with her, but it was like trying to catch lightning. Every time he thought he understood what she was doing, she would change to something new and more beautiful. "Where did you learn to dance like this?" he gasped. Maya did not answer. She was lost in the music, lost in the joy of moving her body the way it was meant to move. For the first time in 3 years, she felt completely alive. She executed a series of turns that would have been difficult for professional dancers. Her balance was perfect. Her timing was flawless. She made it look effortless, but everyone watching could tell that what she was doing required years of training. The guitar player in the jazz trio started to play more complicated rhythms. The drummer added extra beats. They could see that Maya was a real dancer, and they wanted to give her music that matched her skill. Maya responded to the more complex music by making her own dancing more intricate. She added jumps and spins that made people gasp. She moved across the floor in patterns that created their own rhythm. Marcus was no longer trying to lead. He was just trying not to look completely foolish. He realized that everyone in the restaurant was watching Maya, not him. His plan to embarrass her had backfired completely. People at tables were starting to stand up to get a better view. The waiters and waitresses had stopped working entirely. Even the hostess had left her station to watch. Maya performed a move, where she leaned back almost to the floor, supported only by Marcus's hand. Her back arched like a bow. Her free arm extended gracefully above her head. For a moment, she looked like a statue of a goddess of dance. Someone in the restaurant started to clap. Then someone else joined in. Soon, the entire room was clapping. Along with the music, Maya came back to standing position and continued dancing. She was smiling now, a real smile of pure joy. She had forgotten about Marcus, forgotten about the $1,000, forgotten about everything except the music and the movement. She did a series of quick steps that carried her in a circle around Marcus. Her feet moved so fast that they were almost a blur, but every step was precise and purposeful. The people watching were not just clapping anymore. Some were cheering. Someone shouted, "Beautiful!" Someone else whistled in appreciation. Maya finished her circle and came back to Marcus. She took both of his hands and led him into a final sequence of moves. Even though he was clearly out of his depth, she made him part of her dance. She made him look like he belonged there with her. As the song built to its climax, Maya prepared for her finale. She stepped away from Marcus one last time. The music reached its peak and Maya launched into a series of turns that would have impressed audiences at Lincoln Center. She spun 4 times in a row, each turn perfectly controlled. On the last turn, she extended one leg and let her arms flow around her body like water. When she stopped, she was in a pose that was both strong and elegant. The music ended at exactly the same moment that Maya completed her final pose. For a second, the restaurant was completely silent. Then it exploded with applause. People were not just clapping. They were standing and cheering. Someone was shouting, "Bravo!" The kitchen staff was banging on pots and pans. The jazz trio was smiling and nodding their approval. Maya stood in the center of the dance floor, breathing hard but still graceful. Her hair was slightly messy now, and her cheeks were pink from the exercise, but she looked radiant. Marcus stood next to her, also breathing hard but for different reasons. He was sweating and his tie was crooked. He looked like a man who had just been hit by a truck. Maya turned to face him. The joy of dancing was still glowing in her eyes, but now there was something else there too. There was dignity and quiet, pride. "Thank you for the dance, Mr. Wellington," she said politely. Marcus stared at her. He was holding the $1,000 bill in his hand, but it felt meaningless now. This woman had just shown him and everyone else in the restaurant that there were things money could not buy. Talent could not be bought. Grace could not be bought. The kind of beauty that came from years of dedication and hard work could not be bought. "Who are you?" Marcus asked quietly. The arrogance was gone from his voice. Maya picked up her apron from the chair where she had left it. She tied it around her waist and pulled her hair back into a ponytail. In a few seconds, she looked like a waitress again. But everyone in the restaurant would never see her as just a waitress again. "I'm Maya Rodriguez," she said simply, "and I believe your steak is getting cold." The crowd was still applauding as Maya walked back to Marcus's table. She picked up his plate and headed toward the kitchen to have it warmed up. Marcus followed, her still holding the $1,000 bill. He felt like he was in a dream. Nothing that had just happened made sense to him. All around the restaurant, people were talking excitedly about what they had just seen. Phones were buzzing as people shared videos and called friends. The ordinary Tuesday night at Luna's had become something extraordinary. And Maya, the waitress who had just stolen the show from one of the richest men in the country, calmly walked back into the kitchen to reheat a steak. Maya walked into the kitchen with Marcus's plate in her hands. The kitchen staff looked at her like she had just performed magic. The head chef, a big man named Tony who had worked at Luna's for 15 years, was staring at her with his mouth open. "Maya," Tony said slowly. "What the hell was that?" Maya set the plate down on the counter. "Could you warm this up for me, please? The customer's steak got cold." "The customer's steak got cold?" Tony repeated. "Maya, you just danced like you were in some fancy ballet company. Where did you learn to move like that?" Maya did not answer right away. She was trying to catch her breath and calm her heart rate. Dancing like that again had brought back so many memories, good ones and painful ones. "I used to dance," she said quietly. "A long time ago." "Used to dance?" said Rosa, one of the other waitresses. "Maya, that wasn't used to dance. That was professional level dancing. That was incredible." Through the small window that looked out into the restaurant, Maya could see that people were still talking excitedly. Some were showing videos on their phones to people at other tables. Marcus was back at his table, but he was not eating. He was just sitting there, staring at nothing. Tony put the steak back in the oven to warm it up. "Maya, I've been working in restaurants my whole life. I've seen a lot of things, but I have never seen anything like what you just did out there." Maya washed her hands and checked her appearance in the small mirror by the kitchen door. Her hair was a little messy, but she looked professional again. It was important to her that she do her job well, even after what had just happened. "The steak ready yet?" she asked. Tony pulled the plate out of the oven. The meat was perfectly warmed. He had even added a small garnish to make it look fresh. "Maya," he said as he handed her the plate. You know that guy out there is Marcus. Wellington, right? The billionaire? I know who he is. And you know he was trying to embarrass you, right? Make you look stupid in front of everyone? Maya looked through the window at Marcus again. He was still sitting in the same position, like he was thinking very hard about something. Yes, she said. I know what he was trying to do. But instead, Rosa said with a big smile, you made him look like a fool. Did you see his face when you started really dancing? He had no idea what hit him. Maya picked up the plate. I should bring this to him before it gets cold again. As she walked back into the restaurant, Maya noticed that the atmosphere had completely changed. Before the dance, it had been a normal Tuesday night. People had been eating and talking quietly. Now there was energy in the air. Everyone seemed more awake, more excited. Several customers smiled at her as she passed their tables. One older woman reached out and touched her arm gently. That was beautiful, dear, the woman said. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Maya replied politely. She reached Marcus's table and set down his plate. The steak looked perfect again, hot and juicy. Marcus looked up at her. His eyes were different now. The arrogance was gone. Instead, he looked confused and maybe a little sad. Maya, he said quietly. Yes, sir. I owe you an apology. Maya was surprised. She had not expected this. Mr. Wellington, you don't need to apologize. Would you like some fresh vegetables to go with your steak? Marcus shook his head. No, I do need to apologize. What I did was wrong. I tried to humiliate you in front of all these people. I thought you were just a waitress who didn't know anything about dancing. He paused and looked down at his hands. I was trying to make myself feel better by making you feel small. Maya stood beside his table, holding her order pad. She was not sure what to say. Rich, powerful men did not usually apologize to waitresses. The thing is, Marcus continued, I don't understand what just happened out there. You're not just a waitress, are you? Maya was quiet for a moment. She looked around the restaurant. People were still glancing at her, still whispering about the dance. She had a choice to make. She could tell Marcus the truth, or she could keep her past private. I was a dancer, she said finally, before I worked here. What kind of dancer? Maya sat down in the chair across from Marcus. Normally, she would never sit with a customer, but this conversation felt important. I was with the American Ballet Theater, she said, in New York City. Marcus's eyes went wide. Even he knew about the American Ballet Theater. It was one of the most prestigious dance companies in the world. Only the very best dancers ever got to perform with them. You were a professional ballet dancer? He asked. For 5 years. I was a principal dancer for the last 2 years. Marcus felt like his brain was trying to process impossible information. Principal dancers at companies like ABT were like rock stars in the dance world. They were famous. They performed for presidents and kings. What happened? He asked. Why are you working here? Maya looked down at her hands. This was the part of the story that still hurt to tell. I was injured during a performance, she said. I tore 3 ligaments in my ankle and damaged the bones. The doctors said I could walk normally again, but I would never be able to dance professionally. When did this happen? 3 years ago. I had surgery and physical therapy, but it wasn't enough. The company had to let me go. Marcus felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. He had just tried to humiliate a woman who had lost everything she loved, a woman who had been one of the best dancers in the world and was now serving food to make money. Maya, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Maya looked up at him. You couldn't have known, Mr. Wellington, and I'm not ashamed of being a waitress. It's honest work and it pays for my law school classes. Law school? I'm studying to be a lawyer. I figured if I couldn't dance anymore, I could help other people who get hurt and need someone to fight for them. Marcus was quiet for a long time. He was thinking about his own life, about how he had always had everything he wanted. He had never lost anything important. He had never had to start over from nothing. The way you danced tonight, he said. It was incredible. Even with your injury? Maya smiled slightly. Dancing like that once in a while doesn't hurt too much. My ankle is not strong enough for the daily training that professional dancers need, but I can still move to music. I just have to be careful. Why? Did you accept my challenge? You could have just said no. Maya thought about this question. I guess I miss dancing, and maybe I wanted to show you that you can't buy everything with money. Some things have to be earned. Marcus picked up the $1,000 bill that was still sitting on the table. He had forgotten about it during their conversation. This is yours, he said, holding it out to her. You earned it. Maya shook her head. I didn't dance for the money, Mr. Wellington. I danced because I love dancing. Please take it. Use it for law school. I can't accept that much money from a customer. It wouldn't be right. Marcus looked at the money, then at Maya. What if it wasn't from a customer? What if it was from someone who wanted to help a talented person follow her dreams? Maya studied his face. The man sitting across from her now was very different from the angry, arrogant man who had walked into the restaurant a few hours ago. Why? Would you want to help me? She asked. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Because tonight you taught me something important. You taught me that real class has nothing to do with money. You have more dignity and grace than anyone I've ever met, and I make you bring me food for a living. Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes, but she blinked them away. Mr. Wellington, I think you might be a better person than you think you are. Around them, the restaurant was slowly returning to normal. People were finishing their meals and asking for their checks. The jazz trio had started playing again. But Marcus and Maya continued to sit at the small table by the window, two people who had both learned something important about themselves and each other. Maya finally reached out and took the $1,000 bill. Thank you, she said quietly. This will help a lot with school. Marcus smiled for the first time that night, and it was a real smile, not the fake smile he usually wore in business meetings. Maya, he said, I have a feeling this is not the last time I'll hear your name. Maya stood up from the table. I should check on my other customers. Enjoy your steak, Mr. Wellington. As she walked away, Marcus watched her go. He was starting to understand that he had just met someone very special, someone who was going to change his life whether she knew it or not. Maya moved between her tables, checking on customers and bringing drinks. But she could feel that something had changed in the restaurant. People were looking at her differently. Instead of seeing just another waitress, they saw the woman who had just performed something magical. A young couple at table 6 called her over. The woman had been recording the dance on her phone. Excuse me, the woman said with excitement in her voice. That dancing was absolutely incredible. Are you a professional dancer? Maya smiled politely. I used to be. Can I get you anything else tonight? Would you mind if I posted the video online? It's so beautiful. People should see this. Maya felt a small worry in her stomach. She had not thought about people recording the dance. Where would you post it? Just on my social media accounts, Instagram, TikTok, maybe Facebook. I have a lot of followers who love dance videos. Maya hesitated. She had been very private about her past since her injury. She had not wanted people to feel sorry for her or to have to explain over and over again why she was not dancing anymore. But looking at the woman's excited face, Maya realized that maybe it was time to stop hiding. Okay, she said. You can. Post it. What should I say about you? What's your name? Maya Rodriguez. You can say I used to dance with the American Ballet Theater. The woman's eyes went even wider. ABT? Oh my God, you're like dance royalty. At table 9, an older man was showing the video to his wife on his phone. Maya could hear them talking as she passed by. Helen, look at this. This is the waitress who just served us coffee. Harold, that's not possible. That woman is dancing, like she's been trained for years. That's what I'm telling you. She was just bringing us coffee, and now look at this. Maya tried to focus on her work, but she kept hearing conversations about the dance. People were excited and amazed. Some were already posting videos on their phones. Near the kitchen, she ran into Jake, another waiter who had been working at Luna's for 2 years. Maya, Jake said, my phone has been buzzing nonstop. My girlfriend just texted me that there's a video going viral of someone dancing at Luna's. She wants to know if I know the dancer. Maya felt her heart skip a beat. Viral? Yeah, apparently someone posted it like an hour ago and it already has thousands of views. People are sharing it everywhere. Maya pulled out her own phone. She did not use social media much, but she had accounts. She searched for videos from Luna's restaurant and found several different recordings of her dance. One video already had 50,000 views. Another had 30,000. People were commenting things like, "This is incredible," and "Who is this woman?" and "I need to learn to dance like this." Maya felt dizzy. She had not expected this to happen. In her old life as a professional dancer, she was used to people watching her perform. But that was different. That was on a stage, in a theater, where people came specifically to see dance. This felt much more personal and scary. She walked back to Marcus's table. He was eating his steak, but slowly, like his mind was somewhere else. "Mr. Wellington," she said quietly, "people are posting videos of the dance online." Marcus looked up from his food. "Are you worried about that?" "I don't know. I haven't been in the public eye for 3 years. I'm not sure I'm ready for people to start asking questions about my life." Marcus pulled out his own phone and did a quick search. His face became serious as he scrolled through the results. "Maya," he said, "this is bigger than just a few social media posts. Look." He showed her his phone. There was already a news article, with the headline, "Former ABT Principal Dancer, Working as Waitress Stuns Restaurant with Incredible Performance." Maya sat down hard in the chair across from him. How did they find out so fast? Social media moves quickly these days. Someone must have recognized you or done some research. The dance world is not that big. People remember the principal dancers. Maya, read the article over his shoulder. It told the basic facts about her career and her injury. It described the dance at Luna's as breathtaking and a reminder of the incredible talent that exists in unexpected places. "This is going to change everything," Maya said quietly. Marcus reached across the table and touched her hand gently. "Are you okay?" Maya was not sure how to answer that question. Part of her was excited that people were appreciating her dancing. Again. But part of her was terrified about what this attention would mean for her quiet life. "I worked really hard to build a normal life after my injury," she said. "I liked being anonymous. I liked being able to go to school and work without people asking me about my past. But Maya, look at what you just did. You gave all these people something beautiful to remember. You reminded them that there's magic in the world." Maya looked around the restaurant. People were still talking excitedly. The atmosphere was completely different from when she had started her shift. There was joy and energy that had not been there before. "I guess I did miss performing," she admitted. Marcus's phone buzzed with a text message. He looked at it, and his expression changed. "What is it?" Maya asked. "It's from my assistant. She says my company's stock price went up in after hours trading because people are talking about how I discovered an amazing dancer." Maya frowned. "But you didn't discover me. And you weren't being nice when you challenged me to dance." Marcus laughed, but it was not a happy laugh. "You're right. The story is already getting twisted. By tomorrow, there will probably be articles about how I'm a patron of the arts who supports struggling dancers. Is that bad for you? It's not true, which makes it bad for both of us." "Maya, can I ask you something?" "Sure. What do you want to happen next?" "With all this attention, I mean." Maya thought about this question. 3 hours ago, she would have said she just wanted to finish her shift, go home and study for her law school exam. But now she was not sure. "I don't know," she said honestly. "I hadn't planned for any of this." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I have an idea. But you might think it's crazy." "What is it?" "What if we controlled the story? What if we told people what really happened tonight? The truth about both of us?" Maya looked confused. "What do you mean?" "I mean, what if I admitted that I was being arrogant and trying to embarrass you? What if we both told the real story about how you ended up here and why you danced tonight. Why would you want to do that? It would make you look bad. Marcus picked up his water glass and took a long drink. Maya, I looked bad tonight anyway. You showed everyone in this restaurant who I really am, a rich man who thinks his money makes him better than other people. But if you tell the truth, it could hurt your business. Maybe. Or maybe it would help people see that I can learn from my mistakes. Maya studied his face. She was trying to understand why this powerful man would want to make himself look vulnerable. There's something else, Marcus said. If we tell the real story, we can also talk about your law school plans. We can show people that you're not just a former dancer, you're someone who's building a new life and helping other people. Maya felt a small spark of hope. You think people would be interested in that? Maya, after watching you dance tonight, people are going to be interested in everything about you. The question is whether you want to control that conversation or let other people make up stories. Maya looked at her phone again. The number of views on the videos was growing every minute. Comments were pouring in from people all over the world. This was not going to go away. What exactly are you suggesting? She asked. I'm suggesting we do an interview together. We tell the whole truth about tonight. We talk about what really happened and what we both learned from it. Maya was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, Mr. Wellington, why do you want to help me? Marcus looked out the window at the street. Because tonight, you changed how I see the world. And maybe if we tell this story the right way, it will change how other people see the world too. Maya realized that the man sitting across from her was very different from the one who had walked into the restaurant earlier. The experience had changed him, just like it had changed her. Okay, she said finally. Let's tell the truth. Marcus smiled. Good. I'll have my assistant set up interviews with some good journalists, people who will tell the story fairly. Mr. Wellington? Yes? Thank you for apologizing and for wanting to help. Marcus reached into his wallet and pulled out a business card. Maya, call me Marcus, and this is my direct number. Call me tomorrow and we'll figure out how to handle all of this. Maya took the card and put it in her apron pocket. I should probably finish my shift. Of course. But Maya? Yes? For what it's worth, I think you're going to be an amazing lawyer. Maya smiled and stood up from the table. As she walked away, she felt something she had not felt in 3 years. She felt like the future was full of possibilities again. Maya woke up the next morning to the sound of her phone buzzing nonstop. She had worked until midnight the night before and had fallen asleep as soon as she got home. Now, bright sunlight was coming through her small apartment window, and her phone showed 47 missed calls and over 200 text messages. She sat up in bed and started looking through the messages. Some were from friends and family who had seen the videos online. Some were from reporters asking for interviews. Some were from people she had not heard from in years. Her sister Carmen had texted, Maya, I just saw you dancing on the news. Call me right now. Her former dance teacher had written, Maya, darling, the whole dance world is talking about you. You looked absolutely beautiful. Please call me. There were also messages from strangers who had somehow gotten her number. Most were positive, but some were strange or uncomfortable. Maya got out of bed and made coffee. She needed to think clearly about what was happening. She turned on her laptop and searched for her name online. What she found made her sit down hard in her kitchen chair. The video of her dance had been viewed over 2 million times across different platforms. There were dozens of news articles about her. Some had headlines like, Fallen Star Rises Again, and The Waitress Who Conquered the Internet. But the stories were not all accurate. Some described Marcus as a generous patron who had recognized her talent. Others made it sound like she was desperately poor and needed rescue. A few suggested that the whole thing had been planned as a publicity stunt. None of them told the real story of what had happened. Maya's phone rang. The caller ID showed Marcus's name. Good morning, Marcus said when she answered. I hope I didn't wake you. No, I've been awake for a while. Have you seen the news coverage? Yes, and it's exactly what I was worried about. The story is getting twisted. Are you still willing to do that interview we talked about? Maya looked at her laptop screen, which showed a video of herself dancing with over 5 million views. I think we have to. This is getting out of control. I've set up an interview with Sarah Chen from Channel 7 News. She's a good journalist who will let us tell the real story. Can you meet me at my office at 2 o'clock? Maya looked at the clock. It was already 11 in the morning. I have class at noon, but I can skip it. This seems more important right now. Are you sure? I don't want you to fall behind in school because of this. Maya was touched that he was thinking about her education. It's okay, I can get the notes from a classmate. After she hung up, Maya took a shower and tried to decide what to wear. She wanted to look professional, but not like she was trying too hard. She chose a simple blue dress and tied her hair back neatly. As she was getting ready to leave, her phone rang again. This time it was her sister Carmen. Maya Rodriguez, you better explain to me what the hell is going on, Carmen said, as soon as Maya answered. Carmen, I can't really talk right now. I'm on my way to do a news interview. A news interview? Maya, what happened? The last time we talked, you were worried about paying for your textbooks. Now you're all over the internet dancing with some billionaire? Maya sat down on her bed. Carmen was 5 years older and had always been protective of her little sister. It's a long story, but basically this rich guy tried to embarrass me at work last night and I ended up dancing. Someone recorded it and put it online. And now he's your friend? Maya, be careful. Rich men like that don't help people for free. I know, Carmen. But I think he's really trying to make up for what he did. And right now I need help controlling this story before it gets even more crazy. Carmen was quiet for a moment. Are you okay? Really okay? This must be bringing up a lot of feelings about your dancing career. Maya felt tears starting to form in her eyes. Carmen was the only person who really understood how much losing her dance career had hurt. I'm okay, Maya said. It actually felt amazing to dance like that again. But you're right, it's bringing up a lot of emotions. Do you want me to come up there? I can drive to the city today. No, I'm okay, but thank you for offering. Maya, I'm proud of you. From what I could see in the video, you were incredible. But please be careful with this Marcus guy. I will. I love you, Carmen. I love you too. Call me tonight and tell me everything. Maya took the subway to Marcus's office building in Manhattan. It was a tall glass tower with his company's name on the front. She had never been inside a building like this before. The lobby was huge and modern, with marble floors and expensive-looking art on the walls. Maya told the security guard who she was, and he directed her to an elevator that would take her to the 40th floor. When the elevator doors opened, Maya saw Marcus waiting for her. He looked different from the night before, more relaxed, less angry. He was wearing a suit, but it was not as stiff and formal as the one he had worn to the restaurant. Maya, thank you for coming, he said. How are you holding up? It's been overwhelming, Maya admitted. I had no idea how fast news could spread online. Marcus led her down a hallway lined with windows that looked out over the city. I've been dealing with media attention for years and it's still hard sometimes, but today we're going to take control of the story. They walked into a conference room where a woman with short black hair was setting up camera equipment. She looked up and smiled when they came in. You must be Maya, the woman said. I'm Sarah Chen from Channel 7. Thank you for agreeing to do this interview. Sarah shook Maya's hand warmly. I've watched the video about 20 times. Your dancing is absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Maya said. I'm a little nervous about doing this interview. That's completely normal, Sarah said. We'll just have a conversation, and I'll ask you both to tell me what really happened last night. The goal is to let people hear the truth from you directly. Sarah explained how the interview would work. She would ask questions, and Maya and Marcus would answer. Honestly, the interview would be edited and shown on the evening news and clips would be posted online. The most important thing, Sarah said, is that you both be yourselves. People can tell when someone is being fake, but they respond to honesty. They sat down at a small table with the camera facing them. Sarah sat across from them with her notes. Are you ready? Sarah asked. Maya looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragingly. I'm ready, Maya said. Sarah looked into the camera. I'm here with Maya Rodriguez and Marcus Wellington to talk about the video that has captured the attention of millions of people online. Maya, let's start with you. Can you tell us what happened last night? Maya took a deep breath. I was working, my regular shift at Luna's restaurant. Mr. Wellington came in for dinner and he seemed upset about something. I served him, and then when the band started playing, he challenged me to dance. What kind of challenge was it? Maya glanced at Marcus, who nodded for her to continue. He offered me $1,000 to dance with him in front of everyone in the restaurant. I think he was trying to embarrass me. Sarah turned to Marcus. Is that accurate, Mr. Wellington? Marcus looked uncomfortable, but he answered honestly. Yes, that's exactly what I was trying to do. I had a bad day and I was taking it out on Maya. I thought she would either refuse and look scared or accept and embarrass herself trying to dance with me. But that's not what happened. No, Marcus said with a small smile. Maya turned out to be one of the most talented dancers I've ever seen. She completely amazed everyone in the restaurant, including me. Sarah turned back to Maya. Maya, you used to be a professional dancer. Can you tell us about that? Maya felt more confident now. I was a principal dancer with the American Ballet Theater for 5 years. It was my dream job, and I loved every minute of it. What happened to end your career? I was injured during a performance 3 years ago. I tore ligaments in my ankle and damaged bones. The doctor said I could walk normally again, but I couldn't handle the physical demands of professional dancing anymore. That must have been devastating? Maya nodded. It was the hardest thing I've ever been through. Dancing was my whole life, my identity. When I lost that, I had to figure out who I was going to be instead. And you decided to become a lawyer? Yes, I'm in law school now, studying to help people who get injured and need someone to fight for them. I understand what it's like to lose everything and have to start over. Sarah looked at Marcus. Mr. Wellington, what was going through your mind when you realized who Maya really was? Marcus was quiet for a moment. I felt ashamed. Here I was trying to humiliate someone who had achieved more in her field than I probably ever will in mine. Maya had been at the top of one of the most competitive professions in the world, and I was treating her like she was nobody. How has, this experience changed you? It made me realize that I've been judging people based on their current situation, instead of seeing their full story. Maya is serving food to pay for law school, but that doesn't make her less valuable or talented than anyone else. Sarah turned back to Maya. Maya, what do you want people to take away from this story? Maya thought carefully before answering. I want people to know that everyone has a story. The person serving your coffee might be a former professional athlete. The person cleaning your office might be working on a novel. We all deserve to be treated with respect regardless of what job we're doing right now. And what's next for you? 1 week after the interview aired, Maya's life had completely changed. The video of her dance now had over 50 million views across all platforms. The honest interview with Sarah Chen had been viewed almost as many times as the original dance video. Maya sat in her small apartment surrounded by letters and packages from people all over the world. Some contained job offers. Others had donations for her law school expenses. Many were simply letters from people telling her how her story had inspired them. One letter was from a young dancer in Ohio who had been considering quitting after an injury. She wrote, "Seeing you dance again, even after losing your career, reminded me that dance is part of who I am, not just what I do for work." Another was from a man who had been laid off from his job and was embarrassed about working at a grocery store. He wrote, "Your interview made me realize that there's dignity in all honest work. Thank you for helping me hold my head up again." Maya's phone rang. It was Marcus. "Good morning, Maya. How are you handling everything?" "It's incredible, Marcus. I've gotten offers from dance companies, law firms, and even a few movie producers who want to make a film about my story. That's amazing. Any offers that interest you?" Maya picked up a letter from the stack beside her. "Actually, yes. The Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater wants me to teach master classes for injured dancers who are transitioning to new careers. And there's a law firm in Boston that specializes in representing artists and athletes. They want to offer me a job after I graduate. Those sound perfect for you. Marcus, I have some news about you too. Have you seen the business reports this morning?" Marcus laughed. Yes, I've seen them. Apparently, people think I'm a changed man, and they want to invest in companies run by changed men. My stock price has gone up 15% this week. How do you feel about that? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Honestly, strange. I'm making money because I admitted I was wrong about something. But you know what? I am changed. This whole experience has made me think differently about how I treat people. What do you mean? I've started eating lunch in our company cafeteria, instead of having food brought to my office. I've been talking to employees who I never paid attention to before. Yesterday, I found out that one of our security guards is writing a novel, and another is putting herself through nursing school. Maya smiled. That's wonderful, Marcus. I also want to tell you about something I've been working on this week. Remember when you said you wanted to help people who get injured and need someone to fight for them? Yes. What if we could help them in other ways too? What if we could create a foundation that provides support for people who have to change? Careers because of injuries or other setbacks? Maya sat up straighter. What kind of support? Financial help, career counseling, retraining programs, maybe even a scholarship fund for people going back to school like you did. Maya felt excitement building in her chest. Marcus, that's an incredible idea. I want you to help me run it. After you finish law school, of course, we could call it the Second Chances Foundation. But why would you want to do that? And why with me? Marcus was quiet for a moment. Maya, that night at the restaurant you showed me what real strength looks like. You took something that was meant to hurt you and turned it into something beautiful. I want to help other people do the same thing. Maya felt tears in her eyes. I would love to help you with that. There's something else, Marcus said. I've been getting calls from other business leaders who saw our interview. They want to know how they can be more aware of how they treat their employees. Some of them want to fund the foundation too. Really? Yes. It turns out there are a lot of people who want to do better. They just needed an example of what that looks like. Maya heard a knock at her apartment door. Marcus, someone's here. Can I call you back later? Of course. Oh, and Maya? Check your email. I sent you some information about the foundation that I'd like you to look at. Maya hung up and went to the door. When she opened it, she saw her former dance teacher, Ms. Elena Vasquez, standing in the hallway holding a bouquet of flowers. Elena, Maya said, throwing her arms around the older woman. What are you doing here? Elena was a small woman in her 60s with silver hair and the perfect posture of a lifetime dancer. She had been Maya's teacher and mentor for years. Maya, darling, I had to come see you after watching that beautiful performance, Elena said. May I come in? Maya led Elena into her small living room. Elena looked around at all the letters and packages. It looks like the whole world has discovered what I've always known about you, Elena said with a smile. Elena, I'm so sorry I lost touch with you after my injury. I just couldn't handle staying connected to the dance world. Elena took Maya's hands in hers. Darling, you have nothing to apologize for. Losing your career the way you did was traumatic. You needed time to heal. I've missed you so much. I've missed you too. But I've been watching you from a distance, and I'm so proud of what you've accomplished. Going to law school, building a new life, that takes incredible courage. Maya made tea and they sat together on the small couch. Elena, can I ask you something? Do you think I'm crazy for not trying to dance professionally again? Some people have been suggesting that I should. Elena shook her head firmly. Maya, only, you can decide what's right for your life. Your ankle may not be strong enough for the demands of professional ballet, and that's okay. But I saw something in that video that I want to talk to you about. What do you mean? When you danced in that restaurant, you were not performing ballet. You were doing something new, something that came from your heart. It was beautiful in a completely different way. Maya thought about this. It did feel different, more free somehow. That's because you were dancing for the joy of it, not because you had to. You were telling your own story instead of someone else's. Elena reached into her purse and pulled out a piece of paper. I have a proposition for you. The New York Cultural Center is starting a new program for people who want to explore dance as therapy and self-expression. They need someone to design the curriculum. But I'm not a teacher. You are now. Maya, you've been through something that most dancers never experience. You've lost everything and found a way to keep going. That gives you wisdom that can't be taught in any school. Maya looked at the paper. It was a job description for a program director position. You could do this part-time while you finish law school, Elena continued. And later, when you're a lawyer, you could still teach classes on weekends. It would be a way to stay connected, to dance without the physical demands of professional performing. Maya felt something clicking into place in her mind. I could help people who are going through what I went through. Exactly. And Maya, there's something else. The center has been contacted by several dance companies who want to sponsor the program. Apparently, your story has reminded them how many dancers struggle with career transitions. Maya looked around her apartment at all the letters from people who had been inspired by her story. She thought about Marcus's foundation idea. She thought about the law career she was building. For the first time since her injury, Maya could see a future that included all the parts of herself: the dancer, the lawyer, the person who wanted to help others. Elena, she said quietly, I think I'm ready to dance again. Not the way I used to, but in a new way. Elena smiled and squeezed Maya's hand. I was hoping you would say that. Maya's phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Marcus. Just saw the news. Apparently 3 more companies want to partner with us on the foundation. Also, someone wants to write a book about our story. Are you free for dinner tonight to discuss all of this? Maya showed the message to Elena, who laughed. Darling, Elena said, it sounds like you're going to be very busy. Maya looked out her window at the city beyond. A week ago, she had been a law student working as a waitress, trying to build a quiet, normal life. Now she was being offered opportunities she had never imagined. But the most important thing was not the fame or the opportunities. It was the feeling that she could be whole again, that she could honor her past while building her future. Elena, Maya said, I think I'm ready for whatever comes next. Elena raised her teacup in a toast. To second chances, my dear. Maya clinked her cup against Elena's. To second chances. Outside, the sun was setting over Manhattan, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Maya watched the light dance across the buildings and felt something she had not felt in 3 years. She felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. 6 months later, Maya stood in front of a large mirror in the new Second Chances Foundation building. She was wearing comfortable dance clothes and preparing for her first master class with a group of former professional athletes who were learning to find new purposes in their lives. The building was beautiful and modern with large windows that let in lots of natural light. There were spaces for classes, counseling sessions, and job training programs. A sign by the front door read, Second Chances Foundation, where new dreams begin. Maya had graduated from law school 2 weeks earlier, finishing at the top of her class. The foundation had offered her a full-time position as director of programs, and she had accepted immediately. She would still practice law part-time with the Boston firm that represented artists and athletes, but this work felt like her true calling. Marcus walked into the dance studio carrying 2 cups of coffee. Over the past 6 months, they had become close friends and business partners. He had changed dramatically from the angry, arrogant man who had walked into Luna's restaurant that night. Nervous about your first class? Marcus asked, handing her a cup. Maya smiled. A little, but mostly excited. I've been working with these students individually for weeks, and today they get to meet each other for the first time. How many are in the group? 12. There's a former football player who wants to become a teacher, a retired gymnast who's starting a business, a baseball player who lost his career to injury and is now studying to be a physical therapist. Marcus sat down on a bench along the wall. It's amazing how much this place has grown. When we started planning it 6 months ago, I thought we might help a few dozen people. Now we have over 200 people in our programs. Maya looked around the studio. I still can't believe this is real sometimes. A year ago, I was just trying to pay for law school. Now I'm helping people rebuild their entire lives. Speaking of rebuilding lives, Marcus said with a smile, I have some news. Luna's restaurant called this morning. They want to put up a small plaque at the table where we first met. It will say, "Where second chances begin." Maya laughed. That's sweet. Do you ever think about how different our lives would be if you hadn't come into the restaurant that night, all the time? If I hadn't been such an arrogant fool, none of this would have happened. We wouldn't have met, this foundation wouldn't exist, and I'd still be the same selfish person I was before. Maya sat down next to him on the bench. Marcus, you weren't a bad person. You were just someone who had forgotten how to see other people as real. That's generous of you to say. But I was definitely a bad person that night. The studio door opened and Maya's students began to arrive. They were a diverse group, men and women of different ages and backgrounds, all united by the experience of having to reinvent themselves after losing careers they loved. There was Jennifer, a former Olympic figure skater who was now studying to be a doctor. She walked with a slight limp from the injury that had ended her skating career, but she moved with the confidence of someone who had found a new dream. David was a retired NFL player who had always wanted to teach elementary school. He was gentle and patient, nothing like the fierce competitor he had been on the football field. Maria had been a professional soccer player before a car accident ended her career. She was now starting a non-profit organization to help other injured athletes. As the students gathered in the studio, Maya felt the same excitement she used to feel before a performance. But this was different. This was not about being perfect or impressing anyone. This was about helping people find joy and healing through movement. "Good morning, everyone," Maya said to the group. "Welcome to our first group session. I know you've all been working individually with me for several weeks, but today you get to meet each other and share this experience together." She looked around at their faces. Some looked nervous, some excited, some uncertain. "Before we begin moving, I want each of you to share one word that describes how you're feeling right now." Jennifer raised her hand. "Hopeful," David said. "Grateful." Maria smiled and said, "Ready." The other students shared their words. Curious, nervous, excited, free. Maya nodded. Those are all perfect words for where we are right now. Today we're not going to focus on the careers we lost or the dreams that ended. We're going to focus on discovering what new dreams might be possible. She walked to the center of the studio. Everyone spread out and find your own space. We're going to start with something very simple, just moving to music and seeing what happens. Maya pressed play on a small speaker, and soft, gentle music filled the room. It was not the classical music she had danced to for most of her career, but something more contemporary and flowing. "Close your eyes," Maya said. "Don't think about technique or looking good. Just let your body move however it wants to move." At first, the students moved hesitantly. They were all former athletes who were used to precision and competition. This kind of free movement felt strange to them. But gradually, as the music continued, they began to relax. Jennifer started with small movements of her arms. David swayed gently from side to side. Maria began to step in simple patterns around her space. Maya moved among them, not correcting or teaching, just encouraging. "Beautiful," she said quietly. "You're doing perfectly." Marcus watched from the bench, amazed by what he was seeing. These people who had lost so much were finding something new in this studio. They were discovering that they were more than just their former careers. After the music ended, the students opened their eyes and looked around at each other. Many were smiling. "How did that feel?" Maya asked. "Different," Jennifer said. "When I skated, every movement had to be perfect. This felt more like playing." David nodded. "I've been so focused on studying and preparing for my new career that I forgot how good it feels to just move for fun." Maya smiled. "That's exactly what I hoped you would discover. Movement can be healing, not just competitive. It can be joyful, not just work." She led them through several more exercises, each one designed to help them reconnect with their bodies in a positive way. Some focused on strength and flexibility. Others were about expression and creativity. By the end of the class, the students were laughing and encouraging each other. They had formed connections that went beyond their shared experience of loss. They had found a community of people who understood what they were going through. As the students were leaving, Jennifer approached Maya. "Maya," she said, "I wanted to thank you. I've been struggling with feeling like I'm not an athlete anymore, like I don't know who I am. Today helped me realize that I can still be strong and graceful, just in a different way." Maya hugged her. "You are exactly who you're supposed to be, Jennifer. Being a doctor is just another way of being an athlete. You're still using your dedication and discipline to help people." After all the students had left, Maya and Marcus sat together in the quiet studio. "That was incredible to watch," Marcus said. "You have a real gift for this kind of teaching." Maya looked around the studio, thinking about all the people who would come through these doors in the months and years ahead. "I think this is what I was meant to do, Marcus. Not just dance, not just practice law, but help people find their way to new chapters in their lives." Marcus's phone buzzed with a message. He looked at it and smiled. "What is it?" Maya asked. "It's from the mayor's office. They want to give us an award for community service. Apparently, our foundation has become a model that other cities want to copy." Maya shook her head in amazement. "A year ago, I thought my life was over because I couldn't dance professionally anymore. Now I'm helping other people discover that endings can be beginnings. And I'm learning that money and power don't mean anything if you don't use them to help others," Marcus added. Maya stood up and walked to the window that looked out over the city. "Marcus, do you remember what you asked me that first night? You asked me who I was." "I remember." Maya turned back to face him. "I think I finally know the answer. I'm not just a former dancer or a new lawyer or a teacher. I'm someone who helps people write new chapters in their stories." Marcus joined her at the window. "And I'm someone who learned that the most important thing you can do with success is share it with others." They stood together, looking out at the busy city below. Somewhere out there were people who had lost jobs, careers, dreams. People who felt like their stories were over. But here in this building, Maya and Marcus had created a place where people could discover that every ending was also a beginning, where they could learn that setbacks were not the end of their stories, but the start of new chapters. Maya thought back to that night at Luna's restaurant, when she had been challenged to dance. She had thought Marcus was trying to humiliate her, but instead, he had given her the push she needed to reclaim her joy. Sometimes the most difficult moments in life turned out to be the most important ones. Sometimes what looked like an ending was actually a beginning in disguise. Maya smiled and walked back to the center of the studio. Tomorrow there would be new students, new stories, new second chances, and she would be there to help them all discover that their best chapters might still be ahead of them. The sun was setting outside the window, painting the studio in warm golden light. In a few hours,